What's going on, everyone? I'm Chase, and welcome back to my channel. It seems like I've kind of neglected the channel for quite some time, and that's just because I've been busy, and also my wife surprised me with the background that you see right now. So it's just kind of like a work in progress, but sorry I was gone for so long, but I ended up watching something that I really want to talk about. So I figured this would be my first kind of like review back after a couple weeks, and it's Midnight Mass. Now, Midnight Mass is a Netflix series that is created and directed and co-written by Mike Flanagan. And Mike Flanagan has brought us, classics like The Haunting of Hill House, The Haunting of Bly Manor. Yes, I think that one is just as good as Hill House. He's also brought us movies like Doctor Sleep and Hush and Gerald's Game. The guy is prolific, and I really just wanted to talk about this one because this was his latest piece, and I respect him a lot as a filmmaker. So what is Midnight Mass? It is a 7-part miniseries, and it's about an isolated island community that experiences miraculous events and frightening omens after the arrival of a charismatic and mysterious young priest. So dipping into more of a religious undertone than he normally does. With Hill House and Bly Manor, you're dealing a lot with like grief and loss and love and, the strength of love and that bond. This is taking a completely different direction, and now we're focusing more on the effects that religion can have on some people and just how far people can take it into extreme levels, and the good it can bring, the bad it can bring, just everything about it, and just really kind of explore it with a group of well-rounded characters and a community that really feels lived in. That's what he does best. Midnight Mass is no exception. So anyways, this is a very good series with all the people complaining about it being too slow or having too many monologues. I don't really get that. I found all the monologues to be riveting because I am a huge fan of when people have conversations with me about life and death and just the questions that we all have as humans. That stuff is fascinating to me. And so hearing fictional characters talk about it, that's right on my alley. So I realize that it's not for everyone, but this is the type of stuff I really enjoy. And it's completely different than Hill House. So if that's what you were expecting, don't expect that going in. As Mike Flanagan always does, he uses drama in the forefront and horror in the background. That's what it is. And this one is a little bit more stripped than that because it's not as horrific as like a Hill House. It's more, fantasy kind of fable approach to it, but there's still some horror elements, but it's mainly about the characters, what they're going through, and the questions they're pondering through their mind about life, death, and religion. That is why I love this show. Jumping into Mike Flanagan. Mike Flanagan, to me, is the perfect example of like a tour de force where he knows how to write dialogue. He knows how to craft scenes. He knows how to bring the best performances out of his actors. He knows how to create atmosphere, tension, suspense, drama. He makes us care about his characters. He's really great at setting up shots and setting up reveals and not revealing too much with some of the scares. And it's just the way he frames stuff is just it's very unique. It's very him. The music is always emotional or just intense, and it really fits the scene really well. He just knows how to do everything. He is so great at the craft of filmmaking. It boggles my mind that he's not at that level yet, because he can actually create commercially friendly things like a Hill House, and people really love it. But there's a lot going on underneath to where it's not just some shallow, piece of entertainment with not a lot to say. Those are fine every once in a while, but he really knows how to really make it a worthwhile experience and have a lot of depth to it and not be this surface level story. He really wants to get in there and explore some stuff. This one is more of a religious experience where we have several characters that are religious. Some of them that are not, but they all question what is beyond this life. They all want to know what happens after death. And, not only is that theme very present in this movie, but we also have, people taking religion to the extremes and showing us how bad it can get if it's in the wrong hands and people take advantage of it. We also see it when it's actually used for good and people use the good word of the Lord and like make sure everyone else knows about that and just like the positivity about it. So it's got both. And it's got a really cool, fable along with it, with the, this angel of death, or this demon that, kind of is looming over the whole story. I won't say too much. I don't want to get into it for, spoilers, just in case if people haven't watched it. But yeah, I think what I said I like the most is just the exploration of the themes that Mike Flanagan has the characters discuss and have us listen to. Yes, there's a lot of monologues, but I think all of them are poignant. I think all of them are substantial, but it's very, I guess, more vulnerable from Mike Flanagan that we've ever seen before. He's not any stranger to doing this type of stuff, but I really thought that there was some real inner stuff, his own personal stuff, that he was really tapping into, and we really got to see it displayed on screen. So the emotional intensity, the horrific atmosphere that he crafts around it, just the sense of the town and the characters, and they're all so well written, and it just feels lively. You feel like you're there. It's just everything about this. Mike Flanagan is the hero. He always will be with all of his projects until I see something bad from him. This is just another great thing from him. The performances are top notch. Everyone's got their own sense of their character. Everyone stands out. No one's hogging screen time. It's all dispersed evenly, and everyone makes an impact. There is no wasted performance. There's no like side performance that's like, oh, they did okay or whatever. It's like, no, everyone is on point. Mike Flanagan always casts his wife, Kate Siegel, and you know what? Not a fan of like nepotism and stuff, but keep casting her in all your stuff, Mike. She's fantastic in everything that she's in. Even back to when I saw Hush a long time ago, I was blown away by her, and I was like, wow, I really hope she's in more stuff. And I'm really glad that you two have a wonderful working relationship, because it really shows, and you push her to her brink sometimes, and she is just the soul, the light, the heart of this entire series, and she's just absolutely a delight. Zach Gilford is also kind of one of the main leads. He and Kate Siegel's character, they kind of have the most conversation throughout the series, and he's also a character that is flawed, someone that wants to redeem himself and really kind of get back into society after this tragic accident that he has at the beginning of the series. You feel for the guy, and you really want him to get better, but then there's a lot of people that keep pushing him down, saying that, God wouldn't allow this and all that stuff. It's like, he took that role and also ran with it. A lot of great people in this cast. There's too many to mention. I mean, a lot of the characters from Hill House and Bly Manor and other Mike Flanagan regulars, they also pop up in this. So they're also really great. I like what he's doing here and taking actors that he's worked with in different universes, having them come in, do a completely different story, completely different world. And that's awesome. I love that stuff. And it also shows that they have a great working relationship with him. And that means that Mike Flanagan must be one of the best ones around, because it is hard to kind of keep a relationship with multiple people like that if they didn't think that you were doing like some great work. So, but other ones that I thought stood out performance-wise, Samantha Sloyan, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Holy crap. She is the quote-unquote villain in this thing. The whole time, like, you hate her. Like, there's just like, there's no redemption, there's no nothing. And at the end, you're like, I hope she gets like what's coming to her. And like, she's just so just gross as a character. She is so evil and conniving. You just want to reach through the screen and be like, stop it, please. And she's just that good at convincing you that she's that terrible. And so Samantha over here stand out to me. I really enjoyed her character. And then another one that I found to be really compelling was Raul Coley. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He plays the sheriff in the town. And at first you might think like, oh, he's just like some normal sheriff. But like once you get to know him and understand like why he moved to that island with his son, and, kind of some of the religious hesitations they have because they do not preach Christianity, and like he's trying to teach his son that, but his son wants to be a Christian, just all that stuff. It's just, and just knowing their backstory and how sad it is, and just the performance that he gives, it's just so, it's so strong and just so forward, and like there's a wall there, and like you want to see someone break it down so that emotional barrier can be released and he can be kind of free of all of his demons. Like it was just a fantastic, well-rounded performance from him. And then of course, the one that everyone's talking about is the priest. So let me get his name here. Hamish Linklater. Listen, it's really hard to be that commanding on screen and be convincing as like a leader and like a priest delivering all this dialogue. Like you have to be at your A game. I've never heard of this guy. I don't think I've ever seen him in anything. If I have, never stood out. Well, guess what? He has stood out to me now, and he is an absolute delight. He's terrifying, but also you understand where he's coming from once everything is kind of like revealed towards the very end. He really sold it because that makes him a really well-rounded character, and I had conflicting feelings about him the whole time, but he, with that performance, was able to convince me of doing that, so good job on that. It's also shot really well. I love the sense of isolation and the sense of loneliness that this island has, because it also is prime for those horror type scenes to happen, where there's always something lurking in the background, but you have no idea where it's at. And the scary thing is there's not a lot of places to go because this is an abandoned island. Not abandoned, but like, it's kind of cut off from the rest of the world for a little bit. And so creating that kind of tension and atmosphere with this setting, it lended itself to just some amazing cinematography. And the thing is with Mike Flanagan, he's kind of like James Wan in the way, where he is really great at framing and reveals and lighting and just making certain jump scares feel unsettling, but not like a jolt of, loud music or this and that. Like he just has it there, and like you can kind of see it, kind of not, and like your mind is playing tricks on you. That is where his horror elements come into play. And they're absolutely effective, just like they were in Hill House, just like they were in Bly Manor. But like I said, he takes more of a backseat, even more of a backseat approach, because, Mike Flanagan always uses drama ahead of horror, always. Horror is just a backdrop. But even with this one, I would say the horror elements are even more so in the backseat. And this is more of a, it's very dialogue heavy. It's very character oriented with conversations and really just kind of letting them speak their mind. And we get to hear that kind of their viewpoints on life and death and religion. And I don't know, I just find that stuff always fascinating to listen to. So, I realize that it's not for everyone, but this one was definitely for me. If you have not checked out Midnight Mass, it is on Netflix. All 7 episodes are available. Please watch it, especially for this Halloween season. That's why I wanted to do this review. It is the month of October, and I think this is a perfect little Halloween treat if you were looking for something to watch. Let me know down below what you thought of Midnight Mass, and then that will do it for this review. I'm Chase Lee, and tune in next time for whatever I review next. I will see you guys later.